right. Good morning, everybody. It's Colleen starting off some extra office hours this morning. I know these weren't in the regular schedule, so there's a good chance people won't be stopping by this morning. But I just wanted to take the chance to go in and kind of look over some of the submissions that have happened so far this week and talk to people about some of the problems they've been having. And so I'm just going to kind of jump right into it, but let me turn on. Actually, let me do something real quick here before I even get started. I'm going to switch the camera over to what I am looking at right now, which I think is this button, entire screen.
Or do you want to just show a specific browser?
I guess, is this me?
Well, that's
yeah, I want to show them as I turn on question and answer, how I do it.
Oh,
Can I do it?
You can do Google Hangouts.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I do. I did that again. Stop.
I remember that.
We won't do that. All right, let me try this again. I will
go to screen share.
Screen share.
Then entire screen.
Screen share, entire screen. Sure.
Yeah, well, it's just going to do that.
All right, it's going to do that.
You can show it on this.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to stop that. I'll just describe what I'm about to do. When I'm here on Google Hangout, if you move your mouse over to the far left of the screen, a couple icons pop up, and one of them is Q&A. And so when you click on the Q&A, it pops over this list of question and answers, and it looks like I already have some. So that's great. But again, just in case you haven't used the Q&A before, I noticed that some people during office hours have been posting their questions directly into the Coursera discussion forums. I'm not really looking at those live, and they're really hard to follow. So you want to join us, move your mouse over to the left side of the screen, click on that Q&A button, and something should pop up on the side. But I'm going to go ahead and jump over to, it looks like Anya has asked, got quite a few. Let me just start down here. Hi, Colleen. I would like to ask about the purpose of the API key when I include a Google map on my website. I have this warning in the console, and I haven't understood it well, and not sure if I need to get this key for just a training project or for a real one. Okay, and I'm going to check the second question that she wrote just to make sure. Okay, first, I'm going to select this question right here. And the question is about when you try to embed tools from other people. So maybe it's Google Maps or your Twitter feed, really anything where someone else has written the code that lets you embed some kind of cool software or some cool tool into your page. And so an API stands for Application Programming Interface. And it's meant to be, for us computer science people, an easy way to use each other's code. So when you create an API, it's supposed to mean, hey, anyone who knows a little bit of JavaScript or a little bit of Python, they can easily use my code and run my code without knowing how it works. So when it comes down to using these keys, some require a key and some don't. For this project, it is not needed for you to have that key. In fact, I'm pretty sure you said you get a warning in the console. And so that's very common to get these types of warnings, just to let you know that it's probably, not as secure, but secure in the kind of things can change way. So you're absolutely fine not using the key. I think it's awesome that you even noticed that there was a warning in the console. That means somebody's actually doing right-click inspect, and that makes me really happy. And so for this type of project, you don't need to worry about that key. You're absolutely fine. And don't be surprised if you try to embed other things, you get that same type of warning. Whenever someone's giving you access to their code, there's always these little bits where they want to make sure that they're not promising you the world, and that you might need to change things. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to jump down here real quick, just one more question for Irina. If you have a choice to reach the same design goal using JavaScript or just by the CSS, do we have to give preference to the CSS or to the JavaScript? For example, I've made Carousel using CSS plus a small fix for JavaScript for iOS and not JavaScript. So this is a really good question, and one that people are going to debate. There's not necessarily a perfect answer for this, but when we came up with HTML5 and CSS3, the goal really was, let's make our code as simple as possible so that we can make sure people don't need to install things. And since there is a chance that some people still disable JavaScript, doing everything in CSS is kind of a great way to do this. Because that way you can still have kind of the effects and things like that. However, because there's always a however when you ask these types of questions, is don't forget that some people do turn off style sheets, if maybe for accessibility reasons or just because they're testing your code. So you want to make sure if they turn off the style sheet, any content that you need for your site is still there. And so one of the ways you can do that is if you did host your site and you have a URL, you can put it through the WebAIM Wave validator, and there's a little button you can click that says, turn off styles, and you can kind of check it out that way. But no, being able to do things in CSS3 is great. And I think it also makes a lot more sense for some people, because particularly when you're styling, why use JavaScript if you don't have to? And the answer people would give you is because JavaScript's cool and we love to code and we love to program. Good for them too, but I think it's great you managed to do that with the CSS. Oh, well, apparently, thank you, Anya. I've got a little note from Switzerland talking about the class, and thank you for everybody who's done the class. I think this has been an outstanding group of students who've been coming in. The discussion forums have been really good. I think people have been very supportive of one another, trying to help each other out, make the best possible projects, but at the same time, being realistic that what people here are aiming for might not always be the best product, but the best that they can do, or really focusing and highlighting the things that they want to do. What I didn't realize is that apparently today is a holiday in Switzerland, but I don't even know what holiday that is, but I hope you enjoy it. Right here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, we are celebrating / suffering through the Ann Arbor Art Festival, which I completely forgot about this week, else I would not have made office hours, because about I think as many as 500,000 people come into our town this week to do all the, look at all the vendors and do things like that. And as you've all noticed, I'm not particularly arty. I bring my kids down, but it's a crazy week. But enjoy your day off.
Hold on a second.
Mhm.
Reframe. Your daughter's hand was in the
Oops.
corner of it.
Do you need me?
She's waving her hand around.
Do you need me to move her?
No, I think
if you see things moving in the background, it is not a haunted and a ghost or anything. It's just my daughter in the background. Okay. All right, we've got. Let's see if I can remember how to read Greek. Christos Serlaknis. I can't remember. I think it's Christos. Okay. Name isn't in English, but the question is. So thank you. My question is about comments box. Is there a way to embed comments with what we have learned so far? All right, I'm not completely sure. If you're still on, I might ask you a follow-up on this question. So inside your code, you can put comments as much as you would like. For the HTML, let's see if this works today. Give me 1 second. I move all over the place, and I can also move my daughter. Let me know if you want me to just put her in the other corner side. I still can't, unfortunately. Oh, I can draw. Okay, good. I can draw all over this screen over here. If you're doing HTML and you want to include comments, just a reminder, it's simply, and then you can put a bunch of stuff in there. Wait, what is it?
You need to be sharing the screen.
Oh, sorry, you're right. I'm drawing on here and you can't even see it, so don't worry about that. Let me clear that off. But yes, you can do comments in both HTML and CSS directly inside your code. Nobody really ever looks at them. If you're using a cool editor such as Sublime, if you actually select your code, or not your code, select what you want your comment to be, and you hit command and a /, it will actually put it into a comment. And it doesn't matter if it's JavaScript code or HTML code or CSS code. It'll automatically put it in there. I think go to screen sharing here for just a second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go. I've got Sublime. Oh. All right, let me switch over here and share this screen. I still have some code.
I mean a box where the viewers can add their
Ah,
comments.
okay, good. All right, that's what I figured. We'll go back there. Let me do this then for just a second. Just because I'm here, I wanted to show you, because it's a cool little trick. If you highlight anything and you do Command // it automatically puts the comments in for you. Because this is an HTML file, it knows to do it this way. If I go into my CSS file, it knows to do it this way. So that's how you can put the comments in your code. But as I kind of guessed that wasn't your question, so let me go back here. Your question is, how can I put in a comment box for people to leave comments onto their site? If you're going to do that, there's kind of a few different issues to think about. I assume you want to store the comments, and if you're going to store them, if you want them stored someplace, because why else would you have comments? You're going to need to be able to do what we call back-end programming, which means on that server side, you usually have to have some PHP or some Python or something running where you're grabbing the code and you're writing to it. And so it is possible to get plugins. I've had a number of students go ahead and Google plugins, and it kind of works its way. It works its way around the fact that it's back-end programming, so you can add it. My guess is if you do a quick online search for HTML comments, what the word you want to stick in there to help you find your search is widget, WIDGET. And so widgets are these little tools that you can put in. So I know that students will be able to do that. It will be beyond what we covered in class, but if you're up for it, I think it wouldn't be difficult to kind of follow along with the, you go to the widget, you'll either have a link or you'll download the code. Usually it's a link, and then you'll need to find the little words that you're going to need to change. So you'll probably have to change it to your URL. You have to give some permission, but the word you want to look up is comments widget for HTML. Okay. In Sublime text editor. Yep. Okay, good. Thank you, Stefan. Yeah, I was just kind of doing those shortcuts right there, but I had a feeling Christos was asking a more difficult question than that one. But let me just do this for a second. I'm going to kind of look off screen for a second while I do a quick search.
You want to put that in?
No, I'm going to put it on in just a second once I see. All right, so let me go back over here. I like to do my Google searches not live because you never actually know what's going to pop up. And then I do that. So it is this. Thank you. I'll hop in right here. Okay. So what I put in here was comments box, HTML5 widget. When I go in there, you can see that they actually, some of the other suggestions, HTML comment box code, source code for or comment box widget, source code. These are kind of different suggestions they'll have. I can see that there's a few things, some YouTube videos. I'm going to go ahead and click right here. It is also possible to just use forms. And if you were to use forms, you can put that into like a text box. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't use something where you're making a form because I think it's an overkill for what you want. It definitely sounds like you're looking more for along the lines of, let's take a look at this. Not PHP. So, you know, I'm not going to copy and paste this into my site because I don't exactly know what it's doing yet. But I do think you're probably at the point now where you can go in and you can start looking at all this code. You're like, all right, I know what a div is. I know what an ID is. What you want to look for, what you want to be making sure you're not sticking inside your code is anything that talks about, there's a file called .exe. So just go through and look at all the URLs, make sure they all end in .html, .com, .css, and you can feel like you're fairly safe about what you're doing along that line. So go ahead, do that search, look up comment box widget or comment box code. But unless you're actually, let me go back to here. Unless you're actually hosting your site, which means you're using a URL, it won't be possible to do that comment box unless you're hosting your site. Okay. Back on me. So one of the things I wanted to do today is submit a fake assignment because people have started submitting, they've started grading, and I know it's not the cleanest submission process right now. I kind of have a choice, a limited choice on how I can allow students to upload their assignments. And I wanted to try this new way where you're able to upload a URL or comments. The problem is with the current submission, the way it's set up is you have to upload everything. So if you have done a URL, that's great. It makes sense that you put in your URL and then in the comments you describe all the work you did. If you didn't do a URL and you're relying pretty much mainly on just description, that's fine. It just means you have to write more of a description, but it means in that URL section, you do need to put in a dummy URL. If you don't, you get what's called a JSON error. So I'm going to pop over here again, and I'll kind of walk you through it. Okay. Okay, so what I've done is first, I wanted to let you know that I've slightly edited the course, and down here in week 6, I copied and pasted the portfolio grading rubric again, just so you'd have it nearby. So my suggestion for you would be to go ahead and kind of open that up in a new tab. Oops, I guess opening up in a new window is a bad idea when I'm doing screen things. So I would open it up in a new tab so I would have it kind of available to me if I wanted to pop back and forth. So I can go over here and be like, all right, I know Colleen went over everything we needed, but did they give it to me? So I've got the points here, you know, does the site validate? Is the site responsive? Is the site well styled? Different things along that line. So things like validation, hopefully people have kind of shown you that it's validated. If not, there is a chance you'll have to kind of click it in yourself. If they submitted something and it's not a URL so that you can't go and test it yourself for validation, and they didn't explicitly say, I have tested this, I validated it worked, you know, you can't give them the points. It's really important that when people submit their assignment, it's up to the submitter to really prove to you that things are working. Now, you can believe them if they say it absolutely validated, you know, and here's why. I'm okay with you believing them. I would believe them. If they just don't mention it at all, though, then you need to just kind of not give those 10 points and go up to the next point. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to assignments. And I'm going to click down here. Okay, so some of the things that you can upload is a video and or a written description. The written description is tricky because it's really just plain text. So what some people have been doing, and I love this, this is a really good approach, is that they've been making their written description an HTML page. And then that way they also have, right here, they just include a URL. It can even be a URL to a CodePen site, anything like that, but it's a nice way to be able to look at what they've done. Okay. You need to make sure that you show it's compliant, that it's responsive, and that it's well styled. You can either do that visually by showing your page, or you can include some of your CSS. Okay. I'm going to go down here. I'm just not going to bother verifying. I'm pretty sure I'll get credit for this course. Open tool. And then I'm going to here, just as, even though I'm an instructor, I believe this is kind of what the student submissions look like. I can go right here. Oh, apparently there's no one. Oh, a bunch of people have submitted, but there's no ratings yet. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this one down here at the bottom. Okay. I've included will launch in a new window, and they've also said written description to go with URL. Actually, I'm going to back up here. Sorry. I'm going to go back. I forgot what I was doing here. Exit. I'm pretending that I'm a student submitting. That's what I meant to do. Okay, so what you can do here is I'm going to start up and say, what if I did not create a site? well, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to put HTTP. I'm just going to do this. Here is my submission. It is really great. Give me all the credit. I want you to see what happens when I hit submit. I get this error up at the top that said content items must be valid JSON. Right? A lot of people are getting this error, and that's because I'm just going to blah here and blah here. And let's say in their link, they just put in dummy site, because that's what I said you can do. You don't, if you didn't make a URL, you can just put in something dummy. When I click on submit right here, it says, please enter a URL. You have to make sure you put in something with an HTTP. There we go. Now I still got that error, and that's because you need to do all three things. Even if you don't really want to do a video, it's absolutely fine if you just come here, make something small, show a screenshot of your page. But really the best thing you can do right here, the best thing you can do is add a media, do a quick 5-minute presentation that says, here's my site, here are the parts I'm really proud of, here are my 4 extras. Make it really easy. Make it so that when your friends come over to grade, they can watch your 5-minute video and be like, all right, full credit. Don't make them go looking for things, all right? But the point I was looking at right here is I'm just going to put that one. Looks good. You have to make sure you select something, you have to include a link, and you have to include your description. You have to have all three things. Otherwise, you're going to get that weird JSON error. Okay. All right, let me go back, take a quick look over here. Okay, nope, nothing over there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to view student submissions. I'm going to go take a look at Pedro's. As you can see, I've got the video. I'm not going to show it right now because I don't know what happens when you show video on video. I'm going to go to written description. This is really nice. You know, he's saying, yes, it validates. Is it responsive? Yes, I've got the unique view for mobile large screen. Talks about the different animation he does. Make this bigger for a second. Here are the enhancements, and the enhancements are key. More than 2 layouts. Great, that's an enhancement. Made a carousel from the Bootstrap help section. Oh, and he mentioned that the carousel doesn't start automatically. This by itself is actually 2 extras. He included a carousel and added that extra accessibility measure where it doesn't automatically start. You want to make sure that the people who are using your page have the option to really control it. Included a Google map, and then, oh, there's a sticky footer. You know, and what you're going to find is most people probably did more than 4 things, and they kind of list them at the bottom because we're proud of them, right? Used font awesome, used a web icon, oh, used BB-8. So we got a Star Wars, almost at Star Trek, Star Wars fan out there too. So this is great. This kind of helps people go and look at it. Let me see. I'm going to go right here. Oh, wow. So this is really great. Oh, and this is good. This is one of the questions people ask me. It's, does your site need to be in English? No, it does not. All right. I'm just looking at this and I'm very impressed as we go along. We've got real portfolio. I mean, kind of just going through illustrations. Right here was where we talked about the carousel. By default with Bootstrap, when you put in a Bootstrap carousel, this would automatically start scrolling. But instead, when you take, I believe it's data drive, when you turn it off, I now have the power of making it go or not go. And so we've gone in. These pictures are sized very similarly. So I'm going to kind of point out that right here, he's kind of skinny, doesn't take up the full width. This one takes up a little bit more of the width. That's fine. What you don't, or what you want to avoid is where one would be really small and one would be really big. These look nice together. There's nothing that kind of takes your, that distracts you. So there's your carousel. Looks like the title's right in there. We've got a timeline. See, Sobre. I'm trying to remember if that's my life, but I can't. I don't remember what Sobre is. I had 6 years of, or 3 years of Spanish down the. We all know the word Playboy though, so you know that's universal. But we go in here. I'm going to guess that if I make this page a little smaller here, you can see responsive that we've dropped down to, instead of having the timeline's gone. And now when I make it bigger, that timeline's back, the pictures are front. So this is a really great site. You got the video in here. I'm gonna right click on this. I'm gonna do a quick view page source. And you can see that there's just a lot going on here. There's some code in here that isn't his, and I want people to know that's perfectly okay. That's exactly how people code. I look, he's got his Bootstrap link and just a lot of different links. I'm gonna close this up. Now, this site, I mean, nice job, Pedro. This is really great. I really like everything that's going on there. And like I said, it's fine that it's not in English because his actual description is. So I'm going to go over here for just a second because sometimes I get overwhelmed by how cool the sites are and I forget. All right, what am I supposed to be checking? I'm supposed to be checking, does the site validate? He said it does, so I'm not going to go through it right now, but I could. Actually, is it responsive? Yes, I know right away he got that 20. Is it well styled? Absolutely, very well styled. Images, as I mentioned, they look really good. And did he have at least 4 enhancements? There was the carousel, there was the timeline, there was the accessibility, there were the other things he mentioned. So clearly all of these points are full. And I will go back here. I'll grab his site for just a second. Grab a new tab. Include the URL. No errors or warnings. So this is a really great job. So I'm going to go back here to my PRE. I'm going to see what I can do here. Go back for just a second. I'm going to exit it. I'm trying to make sure that I do something without displaying too many things, because you never know, just for privacy wise. I can't do that. So if for some reason his submission wasn't good, I mean, if his submission, there was just something wrong, like there was nothing there, or there was something where you're like, I can't grade this. I want to grade it. I want to be a good peer, but I can't grade it. That's when you want to click on the flag content or technical issue, and then I would get a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and just do this because I'm fairly sure there's nothing going on here. Explore student data, exit. Nope, not that. I can go in and I would give him full credit. When I grade and give full credit to Pedro's assignment, which I'll do offline, you have to be sure that you put comments in. Don't just give, all the points. You need to put in, I saw this, I saw that, it was really great, nice job. I need to know that you actually looked at it. If you take any points off, you need to write about why you took those points off, okay? Because you're actually getting credit for doing peer reviews. You're getting quite a bit of credit for doing peer reviews. And so you need to show that you actually put some time in. Otherwise, I come in later and I have to delete those peer reviews because one, students deserve good reviews. They put a lot of work in it, and I want to make sure that there's space for students to give them good feedback. And two, you can't get credit if you just did a little bit. Okay. So let me go back here because I have a question. Apparently I gave some bad code. Liz is asking about a sticky footer and the fact that somehow, I guess in my example, I put a div before the body. Is this okay? No, that's really bad that I did that. And I didn't mean to put it before the body. I actually meant to put it before the other div. There should be 2 divs, one that's kind of like the main part. I assume where Liz is asking from is, I believe in week 4 or 5, I put up some code. So I'm going to leave the camera on my face, but I'm going to come over here for just a second. Go back so I can see if I can find the code that she's talking about. I think week 4, week 3. Okay, so I don't want to actually run this code, but I do have, let me hit mute on the computer. In week 3, I gave some code about doing a sticky footer. I don't want to go through that code again right now, So what I'm going to do is, actually, let me go right here for just a second. And I'm looking at the code I gave. I'm hoping I can kind of see a quick look, and I can't. So offline after office hours today, I will go in and I will double check that code. But no, you shouldn't have a div before the body. What I may have done, and I'll go back and check, is take a quick double look and make sure I didn't have something called like div ID equals body, because you really need that body tag to be on the outside part. Since nobody else is asking a question, I will see if I can do that. And if you're still there, Liz, can I ask a question? Was it the first example I gave or the second one that you're trying to use? That would help me out a little bit, because then I could figure out which code I'm supposed to look at. Let me go here. Okay. I'm going to screenshot just for a second. Let me see if I can get this. I'm sure this is killing all the design people here because I'm being so non-great online. Okay. Let me go back here. I think I've got it. All right, I'm going to switch over to the other side. Screen share. Okay.
Let's hope it's not something we have to redo.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's hope I don't have to redo it. Thanks, Liz. Now I got to go back in and do it. More work for me. Is this the right one? Or I actually think I want to be over here. Okay, so I've gone over to week 3 code, and this was the first example. I actually had 2 different examples, so Liz might be talking about the second example, but I'm giving a quick look, and I can see that I have body, div ID equals container, header, and everything else is down below. So everything else is inside the body tag in this example. I don't always have sticky unsized footer.html. I don't think I actually taped in this lab, so I don't have that one. But I will kind of go through and take a look at the code and see what I can find right there. I intentionally didn't post the code for any of the footers or carousels for this class, because it was something I wanted people to try typing in themselves as kind of like a learning process, but apparently I made the learning process more difficult. So I don't see the body being outside in this first example. I will screen through really quick, because I know I did 2 examples. And I'm just not seeing any HTML. And right here in my second example, I do see at least that my body tag does appear to come before any type of divs or things like that. So double check. Doesn't mean I'm right, but it's a good idea to go double check that code you saw that I was using. And if it is wrong, absolutely ping me. I'll make sure I go through, because not only do I want to fix it for you, but I want to fix it in the video for future students. But I've actually seen this quite a bit for students asking questions about validation. So, and what I've found, is that it's really simple to kind of, when you're copying and pasting and when you're using an editor, to just kind of not notice that you put something outside the body tag. That is probably one of the top 5 reasons code isn't validating, is because if you remember, sometimes your editors, such as Sublime, try to be helpful. And by being helpful, they put in your beginning body, end body tags for you. But if you're copying and pasting a whole file and you just click it in there, all of a sudden you somehow end up with 2 body tags and one inside the other, and it really kind of messes it up. So Liz is going to take a look at that. Like I said, feel free to ping me. I will be on office hours tomorrow. And if you did happen to, if you're working on your code and it is live, it's somewhere you have a URL, I'm always happy during office hours to take a look at your URL and kind of debug it in real time with people. Okay. All right. Go back here. I'm going to head over to the forums for just a second. Now, I noticed that Coursera seems to have us in week 5 forums, but I'm pretty sure it's week 6. No, okay, and well, just to follow up, because Liz posted another question, you do not need to host your site. Absolutely not. That video is a great idea. The thing about when you host it, or for people who aren't hosting it, when they put it on CodePen, sometimes it's just easier for when you're getting help. So if you're posting in the forum session and you're trying to get other students to help you debug and find what you missed, if you have a link to a CodePen account, it's easier for us to kind of see what's going on, but absolutely not necessary to host the site at all. You're great. And the QuickTime video is a great idea. All right. All right. So I want to go back over just a few of the things I've put in the discussion forums. I'm going to start with one of the most important, and I just kind of mentioned it the other day, which is please go back and check your week 2 submissions. There are a number of people who somehow, not sure exactly how, probably because WarpWire was new and we were just kind of debugging it, for their week 2 submission, they actually submitted my video, not their own. And because people were trying to be friendly and helpful, other students gave them full credit for it, even though it wasn't what it was supposed to be at all. While other students flagged it to let us know that there was some sort of technical issue with the submission. So we have gone in and deleted those submissions, which means you may have had full credit and then we took it away from you. I mean, the upside is the week 2 assignment is only worth 8%. So if you don't do it at all, you'll still pass the course. But, because I'm a teacher and we like these things, it is possible that your week 2 submission was deleted because we want you to resubmit and to, make sure that we can see what you were working on. The other thing that happened, and I wasn't able to grab them all, is some people, instead of doing a sketch, they actually coded up their page and just kind of did a little live demo of here's my site and I'm not done with it yet, but these are the things I'm going to be adding to it. I do need you to realize that that is, not a sketch. If you go and you want to make a design for somebody else and you show up with a, hey, here's my plans for your site, and you already have the code done, you're kind of robbing yourself and them of the opportunity of sitting down with that piece of paper and drawing on it and saying, oh, what if we move this over here and put that over there? Because code, people don't want to change your code. People are really happy to change your picture. So please go back. I actually, in week 6 of the discussion forum, I posted a check your week 2 assignments. One, if your submission wasn't graded, I've got one student, Gina, I hope this got fixed. WarpWire never accepted the submission. I talked to them yesterday and they said that they got a fix for yours. So if that's not true, go ahead and post it up there. So then for Denise, I have another follow-up for that one question. It was like, still hoping to be able to submit even though she doesn't have a URL and didn't host her site, which is pretty much what I think Liz was just talking to you, said the same thing. Absolutely fine if you don't do the URL. Just make sure that when you submit, you put in some sort of dummy URL because we need a placeholder in there for the software. Just the way it's written, it looks, and make sure that there's something there for each one. We're hoping in a newer version, you can only have some or the other. All right. So anyway, Liz, yeah, CodePen might be a great idea. You can just copy and paste it in there. Okay, so I've got another student here. Oh, it's Arena. I'm going to grab her URL for just a second here. And it's a question about the wave validator. All right, so let me go ahead and put this in.
Spelling still drives me nuts.
Yes, their spelling is absolutely ridiculous. All right, so let me go to full screen. Let me actually do that. I meant to go back. Go back here. Share. Okay. Oh, okay. I remember you talking about this site when you were first talking about describing what your kind of idea was, what your portfolio idea was. And so we've got this site right here. I'm just going to kind of flip through it really quickly. I really like, by the way, the muted colors here. I think it's a really nice idea that, let me actually go to the good picture, right? Very low, not a lot of color. And then when we get to the products, is it the products? Right here, you're just gonna, suddenly, boom, there's like this flash of color. And I really like that it kind of shows, you know what, this site is not about making a flashy site. It's about really focusing on the products and the colors. So I like that you didn't go like make all the background, you know, some sort of bright color. So I'm going to go right here. I'm just going to pick this one, this page right here, and I'm going to go ahead and try to do it in the validator. So the validator is wave.webaim.org, I believe. And I'm going to put her URL right in there. Okay. Give me a second here. Oh, hopefully it's not going to crash on me. We'll see. Tell you what, how about I just do this one instead? I'll do the main page. Unless this is, all right, when everything's crashed like that, I just go ahead and kill it. Let's try it again. Wave. I'm going to make sure it's not, make sure it wasn't your site. Okay, so let's go right here, go back again. All right, here we go. That was a kind of quick. It's taking a while, not sure why, but it's going through. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is when you're doing the wave, it's very common to get a lot of errors, particularly if you have a lot of images, because if you have your alt attribute, that's great. It's going to give you a lot of errors if you don't have the alt attribute. But even if you do have the alt attribute, sometimes it gets upset. And the reason it gets upset is that it's worried that your alt attributes are too similar to the text that's already in the page. It's saying, hey, you're repeating yourself a lot. Make sure that your alt tags don't repeat what's in the words, but like basically convey whatever information was in the picture. All right, let me go back here for just a second.
I know what font sheet this person used for the Dilly.
Mhm.
It's Mistral.
Okay, got it. All right. Oh, well, one, good job. Your fonts being recognized by people who actually do this. I'm going to go and close this because I'm not exactly sure why it's so upset. So let's just go right here. See if I can click on these. Well, I'll kind of leave these in the background, and I'll come back to it in just a second. So I think that, and I follow, and you've got a follow up right here where you said the mistakes are not clear for me, like justified text, empty alt text, where I use font awesome. Okay, so this is exactly the kind of thing we talk about where there are all these cool things out there and you want to use them, but sometimes they're not, I'm thinking of the word, they're not accessible. They're not always the most accessible. And things like font awesome are an excellent example because you have these icons, right? But there's no text actually associated with the icon. In fact, I think I might still have Sublime up. If I do, I can give an example right here. I just was doing Sublime, and I happen to have some font awesome text. So let me go back here, and I'll show you why it's angry. Okay. In fact, what I might do right here is I'm just going to copy and paste some of my font awesome examples, and we'll kind of go from there. Go right here. Actually, I'll just go from right here. So the reason it's unhappy is if you look right here, you have all this content, right? You have your bus icon, your calendar icon, your calculator icon, bullseye, etc., different things like that. But if you think about it, none of these icons actually have any text associated with them. There's nothing there to let people know, you know, what's going on. I haven't really dealt with this. This is kind of off the top of my head, but ways you could work with this, if you want to try to fix it up, is there is a screen reader only tag, SR only, where you can put in SR only, and then you could actually write a visual description like bus, calendar, calculator, things like that. I'm kind of curious. I'm going to go ahead and look at open in browser. This size is showing up on the screen, or do I have to switch it?
Oh, You have to switch it.
All right, let
It's
me,
not in the right. It's in a new window.
Yeah. all
You
right.
can drop it into the other window.
Oh.
That would work.
Well, the other one's a Sublime. So give me 1
Okay,
second,
okay,
everyone.
cool.
Yep, I'm gonna
Yeah,
all
so
right.
just gotta share it.
hit stop. Okay, go back here. I need to share just something different for just a second here. There we go. So what I have right here is my old file that used Font Awesome. All right, and we can see things here, but the problem is other people can't see it if there's no words actually with it. So let me grab this. Let me go to Wave. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna be able to do it that way. This is the downfall of Wave, that you actually need to have it up. So what I'm just going to mention here is you can add things such as like screen reader only, where you can add some text. I'm not exactly sure what will happen if I do this. I'm not sure this will take an alt attribute, but there is a chance. To be honest, what I'm going to do right now is what I would do if I were you. I'm going to put in Font Awesome, missing alt text. And here we go. I kind of went down and someone says, I use Font Awesome and display their fonts like this. I tried using attributes such as title and alt, but to no avail. Is there any attribute I can use for the I tag that executes the same kind of idea? I've got a few people that are saying no. Some other people are saying you can use the title attribute. But the question is whether this helps is not exactly sure. I don't think it'll actually pass the validator anymore using title than not using anything at all. So in general, you've got this kind of little idea where there's nothing you can do accessibility wise. But if you go down here, you can make your own span that you put in that's screen reader only, where you can say, hey, I want the screen reader to say bus. You can just have the word bus or calendar. So this is just one of those things that we're going to talk about and kind of deal with. Sorry, trying to get back with as you try to make your site more accessible. Okay, go back here. Stop. Okay. So you have empty link when I use Font Awesome.
I
yeah.
was just thinking, when you were showing that,
Yes.
I don't think it showed up on your screen capture.
Oh shoot, but
because you were still into Font Awesome, remember? You're still in the font.
Okay,
Awesome
so there's a chance that what I just popped up didn't show for you guys. Sorry about that. Let me just describe it for a second then. I went in and I just did a quick search on Font Awesome alt text. I should have put in Font Awesome alt accessibility. The issue is whenever you use Font Awesome, you're going to use that I tag. And there's nothing in there that says out loud or gives the ability of someone to know what you're displaying if they can't see that picture. So the option for you, and you don't need to do this, is to put in a span tag right next to those eyes that say something like bus, calendar. And there's a special tag you can use called screen reader only, SR only, that if somebody's on a screen reader, it'll actually read out that information. The other thing then you just want to do is think about, well, is the image just, is it just decorative? If it's not actually necessary, then you don't need to worry about fixing that up. I think that, yeah.
Other things that changed. I'm sorry, not alt text, but errors.
Yeah. My website was validated just using an installed Wave thing. Forgot about that. There are some toolbars you can add to Chrome and Firefox that will let you do Wave. I'm at work though, and I don't own this computer, so I can't put in the extensions right now. But it's I'm going to grab a bunch of your questions and just delete them here for a second, Irina. Done. Okay. But we do have a lot of empty, whenever you use icons, not just Font Awesome, but other icons, if you really like the Facebook icon or the LinkedIn icon, or, one of these, basically any icon that goes to social media, you're almost always going to get this error that says empty link. because how it works for people is you have a link, and then instead of putting clickable text, you include an image, right? And that image is the Facebook icon or the LinkedIn icon. So it looks fine to me because I know it's a link and I know it says Facebook on that icon, but it won't look fine to somebody who's using a screen reader because all they see is a link, but there's no actual text to be read off to it. So in that case, you would want to have the image, but you would also want to include some sort of either a second link that has text on it, and that'll still give you the error, but it'll give you another option. Or go ahead and look up their accessible social media icons, and you'll see different ideas for including text. It just gets, I mean, messy is not the best word for it, but it gets messy. Like, how do you make sure that you have all the content somebody needs, but your page still looks the way you want it to look? Because it does look odd to have the Facebook icon and the word Facebook next to it. So I would go ahead and look around. However, passing the wave validator is not required for the submission for your project. However, if you take the time to figure out a workaround for this, that would count as an extra. So I don't want you to freak out about it too much. I would spend some time looking at it, and you can still count it as some of the work you did for your assignment, even if it doesn't work. Okay. All right. Hello, someone from Paris, Christian. Welcome. Thanks for not putting some weird question that I couldn't answer because, just to mess with me. All right, this happened. I've had people put in questions and I didn't realize they were joking, and I spend all this time trying to answer them. All right, so just to kind of recap what we've been talking about for the past, 50 or so minutes. And I know not everyone gets a chance to watch these, but it's always encouraging when I hear that people do get a chance later on. To recap what we're talking about, first, the assignments are due, and I realize that the submission is still a little buggy / funky / whatever word you want to use. It's probably not as nice words as I just used. But when you submit, you need to submit 3 things. You need to submit a video, you need to submit a link, and you need to submit some sort of write-up. Now, it's absolutely fine if you don't want to use a video, so you just upload a quick video that is just like here's my project. But I wouldn't recommend that. I highly recommend that you use that video to talk about your site, to say, here's the things I did, here's what I want you to look at. Hey, here's some of the things I tried to do that didn't work, give me credit. So make sure you use that video to try to make the life of your fellow graders easier. Second, you have to include that link to URL. If you're not hosting your site, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to host it for this class, but you need to put something in there just so the grader accepts it. So you need to put in some sort of URL. It can either be something that's ridiculous, like, http dummysite.cnn. It can be a link back to Coursera. Just make it very obvious to the person that you didn't actually host the site, and they shouldn't go spend an hour, validating somebody's site that's just a random person's site, maybe Christian from Paris. So when you do that, make sure you have to put that HTTP at the beginning, because if it's not a valid URL, it won't work. Way back a long time ago, if you took the HTML5 course, you learned about those 3 parts of the URL: the protocol, the domain, and then also the file. So make sure you have the protocol and domain, and that's enough. The third thing you want to add are your comments. And the comments are especially important if you're not doing the video, because the comments are you selling your site to other people, particularly if you went a code from scratch route. I think some of the people who coded from scratch, it's easy to get intimidated when you look at the sites that other people made using Bootstrap or templates, because they look better. They look better than your site. But the difference is when you code from scratch, you really get that hands-on experience. You understand everything that's going on your site. There's a good chance it's more likely to validate because you don't have like little things that you don't understand going on in there, or not as many at least. So when you're doing your comments, make sure they're very clear. 2 or 3 students have done this great thing that I really like, where they have been, for their comments, actually linked to a CodePen site or included HTML so it's really easy to read. Otherwise, you can put as many spaces and enters as you want, but in general, it just reads as one big chunk of text. So this is the week for submitting your assignments. I know I've said it a few times, but make it easy for the other person to give you full credit. That's what you want. When you're done, you still need to make sure that you go in and you peer review 3 other assignments. Actually, it's 3 or 2. Let me go over here for just a second so I can make sure I say this correctly. Double check. I know you can't see this, but that's fine. 10, 30, 40, 80. Okay, 5 points. You need to do 3 peer reviews, and each of those peer reviews are worth 5 points. So don't go in and just give the other person credit and leave. Leave some sort of comments. Tell them what you liked. Gently tell them what you didn't like, and things like that. But you need to earn those 5 points for doing those reviews. Myself and Diana do have the power to go through and delete your reviews, which means you lose those points and you have to do it again. We don't want to do that. But if someone goes in and there's no comments at all, or every comment is nice job, we are going to kind of ding you for that. Again, just so you know, if you were to lose 15 points, you're still going to pass the assignment. But if you lost those 15 points and maybe your site didn't validate, and one other thing, well, then it's going to be a little bit harder for you to get full credit, or to get enough credit for that assignment to pass. Okay, so submission is the #1 thing. Second, it is possible for me to look for submissions by name. So I get a lot of people in the forum saying, hey, can someone look at my site? I haven't, it hasn't been graded yet, or I'm not sure if it's been graded fairly. If you have an issue with your submission and you want me or someone else to look at it, make sure you put which category you submitted to. So remember, there are the 3 categories: by hand, by template, and by framework. And so when you submit to one of those 3 and you want me or someone else to look at it, please, in the comment section, make sure to put, I put it in this section. And then when you do that, it's much easier for me to find it, because there are a couple hundred at times, and it's hard for me to find. So please include that as well. Finally, even though class technically ends this week, we're still able to grade for a while. We're still able to peer review. And while you need to do 3 peer reviews, just so you know, I think you've probably figured it out by now, your grade, you really only need 1 person to look at your site. I encourage there to be more, but only the highest grade is taken. So if 5 people grade your site, that's great, but your grade comes from the highest person, but you need at least 1. So if you have some problems, don't forget, people are going to be taking off soon. It's summer. There's Europeans out there. I know you guys take off like all of August, and I'm very jealous. But make sure, if you need some help getting your site graded, that you do it, that you put where it is as quickly as possible. Other than that, tomorrow are the last office hours online. If you're still struggling, I highly encourage you to host your site, either on your own, on a server, or just through CodePen. And then that way I can kind of take a quick look, and we can do it. Also, if you're peer grading and you happen to see some awesome sites, like really outstanding, feel free to, give a shout out for that one, and maybe tomorrow I can take a look at them. Tomorrow I'm also going to be talking really quickly about LinkedIn. I get a couple, maybe I get hundreds of LinkedIn requests, and I tend to not accept them unless I know that the person, I know the person personally. But for the capstone, I would like to set it up where I'll figure it out tonight. I'm going to put in something where if I get LinkedIn requests from students who have completed the capstone, I will be accepting those. I'm just going to give you some sort of phrase to put in the LinkedIn request so I can pick it out easily. I know a lot of your names, but it gets overwhelming trying to remember them all. I hope you have a good day. I hope your sites are going well, and I hope you're learning a lot from the class. So have a great day.